Hi, my name is Matt Levine, and this is my informative speech 2. Here's my audience today. And here's my note cards. On February 28th, in 1983, 121.6 million people watched the series finale of MASH. It is still the most watched show in television history. One of the stars of this show was Mike Farrell. And there's a couple of pictures of him from then and now. According to APBspeakers.com, which is Mike's booking agency, he has given speeches all over the world, everywhere from prisons to the House of Representatives. First, I'm going to give you a little background information on how Mike became an actor and an activist. Then I would like to talk a little bit about some of his favorite causes. Finally, I would like to speak about his speaking style. To get started, here's a little information on why Mike became an actor and an activist. Mike was born in Minnesota, but at the age of 2, his parents moved to Hollywood, where he grew up. His dad was a set carpenter for different Hollywood studios, and this is where Mike desired to become an actor someday, being around actors. His dad was also a hard-drinking Catholic who didn't know the meaning of the word nurture. Mike's desire to be accepted and respected and loved, is where his activism roots stem from. Now that you have some information about Mike's background, I would like to talk to you about some of his most treasured crusades. In 1979, at the height of his MASH popularity, the Reverend Joe Engel, who was a preacher from Tennessee, flew out to Hollywood to meet Mike. And the reason he did this is because he had read a magazine article about Mike's stated opposition to the death penalty. And this was a crusade near and dear to his heart. So they hit it off. Mike flew back with him to Tennessee. The Reverend took him to some death row prisons there, and Mike was appalled at the amount of minorities, prisoners who had inadequate legal representation, and the amount of the amount of lifetime mental deficiencies that some of these inmates had. Also, because of his strong Christian beliefs at the time, he was appalled at the idea of state-sanctioned murder. An interesting Iowa connection from Mike is in 1993, he spoke in front of the Iowa State Legislature, when the legislature, among the many times that they have debated bringing the death penalty back to this state. I read his speech from his time in front of the legislature, and I would recommend everybody going to read it as well. You can find it at his website, www.mikefarrell.org. He also is president of Death Penalty Focus in California since 1994, and even had an award named after him by that group in 2006. Mike also visited El Salvador in 1985 on one of his most famous missions to Central American countries in the 80s. He assisted, reluctantly, in the surgery to save the hand of a woman named Nadia Diaz, who was a guerrilla commander fighting the El Salvadoran government. Mike also gave a speech on March 17th of 1983 to the U.S. House of Representatives, decrying the Reagan regime's tactics and propping up of governments in Central America because of the firsthand knowledge he had about the atrocities that some of these governments were committing against their own people, especially in El Salvador. He has starred in 3 one-man plays. He has written 2 books, and he is still on TV today. While Mike has had a profound impact on the world through his acting roles, books, and plays, his speaking style is one of the reasons why he has been pushed to the forefront of his many foundation and activist groups. After listening to several of Mike's speeches and interviews, I found that he is comfortable speaking extemporaneously as well as impromptu. The Iowa legislature speech especially was one that painted a vivid portrait of an America that I don't think any of us want. He has granted interviews and done speeches at numerous prisons and in war-torn countries around the world. His speaking is calm and measured. He enunciates well and speaks from the heart, no matter what he's talking about. And despite his age, he is also able to recite an amazing amount of knowledge that he has gathered over the years just from his memory. Now that you have heard a little bit about what makes him tick and how he gets his message across, I would like to review briefly. First, I told you about some of the background information of Mike Farrell. I then spoke about some of the causes that are near and dear to his heart. And finally, I told you why he is an effective public speaker. So no matter your feelings on the death penalty or Mike's other human rights campaigns, the next time you happen to catch an old episode of MASH, think to yourself how many people he was able to reach through that show, and then think to yourself how many more people he has been able to reach through his social activism. Thank you very much.